This week's review is a Delta Milwaukee wood lathe. It was made in the 40s, and I believe they made this up until the late 60s. It's got nice castings, they're thick and of good quality. It's got a 12-inch swing, and it'll turn 37 inches between centers. This particular unit came with a jack shaft, so I have speeds from 340 RPM all the way up to 3400 RPM. I use the lathe mostly for turning knobs and spindles, but I did make an outboard tool rest for turning bowls larger than 12 inches in diameter. A floor stand was available for it, and I may make something similar to it at a later date. I also plan to power the lathe with a 1 horsepower 3-phase motor and a VFD. This will be more convenient than shifting the belts, and I can bring the speed down further for roughing large bowls. It replaces a Walker Turner gap bed lathe I had. It was also 12 inches, and I think it turned 36 inches between centers. And I liked it very much, but this one came with so many accessories, I just had to pick this one over the other one. What really got me excited was it's got a metal turning compound slide rest, and I don't plan to use it for metalworking, but I do want to use that particular attachment to turn nice accurate dowels and tenons, round tenons. It came with a bunch of other tools, a bunch of steady rests, an extra banjo, and the tool rest that goes with it. A bunch of three-jaw chucks, chisels, etc. It's a fairly heavy lathe for its size. The castings are good and thick, which gives it a lot of solid mass. But I wanted a bit more, so I made the base for it out of concrete. The lathe is fairly heavy for its size, but I wanted more mass, so I made a concrete base for it. It originally came with a rickety homemade base, but I scrapped that in favor of concrete slabs around a wooden cabinet. I made the cabinet with wood scraps I had at hand. I considered sand-filled cavities in a wooden frame, but opted for the concrete because I thought it would be less messy when moving it around. There are 2-inch thick slabs. It's 58 inches by, I think it's 14 inches deep and 2 inches thick, and that sits on 2 columns which are also 2 inches thick and the same width as the top. And I think it stands about 30 inches off the floor. The slabs, that is. I made the forms for the concrete out of melamine that I had lying around, and I used chicken wire and coat hangers to add reinforcement for the concrete. The base is also the cabinet portion of it's just made with scraps I had lying around, so it's a little bit oddly shaped perhaps, but it does the trick. The motor and the jack shaft are housed in the base here. I think it's a total of 16 speeds. This particular jack shaft I think was used in conjunction with the metal turning attachments. These are all the attachments I got with it. I have storage under here for the other parts. The metal turning attachment's quite nice. It's an accessory that was meant for metal working, but I have 2 metal lathes and I don't need it for that. But I do plan on using it for dowels and round tenons. I think that it offers controlled feed for parallel or cylindrical dowels and cylindrical tenons, and because it's graduated in thousandths, I can have good repeatability for either dowels or the tenons, but primarily for the tenons. Anyways, it's a nice attachment, not strictly necessary, but it was kind of one of the features, along with the long tool rest and all the chucks that came with it. I had to keep it. It's one of these 4 jaws, an older 3 jaw, made in England. They both work well. Came with a couple face plates, actually 6 face plates. It just came with so many accessories I had to take it over the Walker turner. Like I said, I plan to use it only to make accurate dowels, but it could be used for metalworking. I believe also this lathe offered accessories so that you could spin metal as well. It's a nice lathe. It's very smooth. I use it for turning knobs and spindles mostly. I have actually turned a big bowl on it. I did make an attachment. This is a bowl turning attachment that mounts to the side here, and then you put your tool rest in here. Or the also came with a bowl rest. You put the bowl rest in there. I recommend this lathe. I've owned quite a few wood lathes over the years. The Walker Turner variable speed lathe was a nice lathe, and it had a gap which afforded a little extra turning diameter. But overall, I think I like this one better. The attachments were more readily available for this particular lathe. If you're ever in a situation where you find one of these things, I recommend you pick one up. It's well worth restoring. When I got this, I tore it apart. I didn't take actually this apart because it was all covered in oil and everything, so I just cleaned it. Obviously it works perfectly. Anyways, the rest of it I stripped it right down and I painted the castings. I tore the spindle bearings off and replaced them with new ones. I didn't touch the jack shaft, it's as it was, but the bearings were fine on it. Good lathe, I highly recommend it. I appreciate the older castings. Like I said, this one was made in the mid-40s, I believe, 1944, if the serial number listing that I looked up on the internet is correct. And like I said, I believe they made this up into the late 60s. I've seen on the vintage woodworking machinery site, I saw a thing for this, I think it was 1966, a brochure. So at least I think that's where I saw it. It's a good lathe.